E aí, pessoal, que fala Pedro, bora continuar aqui a série de Eternal Strands, então bora lá. Bom, vamos fazer agora a prova de conspiração para ver o que a gente encontra de informação. Eu não sei para onde teleportar exatamente, então eu peguei o ponto perto da onde era a outra missão nossa, quem sabe. Se não for, a gente vai andando no lugar, fazer o quê? Eu acho que não vale a pena voltar pra base só pra teleportar para outro ponto do mapa. Tá, vamos ver pra onde é. Pra lá. Bom, pode ser pra cima, vamos ver. Mas eu acho que não. Pelo ângulo não deve ser pra cima nem ferrando. Vai pro lado, vamos lá. Pra cá. Mano, no pináculo? Aí é foda, podia ter ido direto pra lá então. Vacilei. Tá vindo aqui. Ah, é outro daquele gelo. Pô, dá pra gente subir por aqui, né? Acho que é mais fácil. Ah, não, eu não li direito a missão, ó. Tava escrito que era no pináculo. Falta de ler mesmo. Por que não... Bom. Não deu pra agarrar, não tem problema. Sobe na moral. Vamos lá. Coletar tudo, né? E bora. Tá, é aqui dentro. Eu vou matar os bichos porque eu quero ler também o que vai falar. E na outra vez eu fui pegando e tinha bicho ainda na área. Isso dá uma atrapalhada aí pra gente ler com calma e entender o que tá acontecendo. Eu vou matar tudo e depois a gente coleta. Tem mais alguém aqui, atirou mais um. Beleza, agora a gente vê.
This looks like some kind of evacuation plan. Old. Probably from before the surge. Were they consulting it?
Pô, então os irmãos era pós-surto, agora a gente tá fazendo informações de antes de ter acontecido? Bom, um pouco estranho, a informação não é da mesma época, então... Deve se conectar de alguma forma, mas... Vamos ver.
Tables with assets listed. Looks like a tabulation of supply levels. Coordination for the runners and haulers. They remained in the city for years after the surge, according to these dates. Wonder why they left.
Ah, era alguém superior então, que coordenava os caras, talvez.
Surprisingly detailed.
Invaluable. We'll have to make sure Lane adds them to our archive later.
Ok, o outro tá em cima, vamos lá.
Here we go. Sigils, sigils. Ah, found it. Our creator is listed here as Lucia de Crassus. 2 registered workshops, both council approved for dangerous materials. She must have had some pull before the surge. One is here in the city, and the other, let's see. I've been there. That frozen town out in Dredger's Mire. Better wear something warm.
I think it's important we run this one down, Bryn. The water clock is dripping.
Tá, um é na Baixa de Nevron e a outra no Brest Braga. Pô, o da Baixa de Nevron a gente pode vir por aqui mesmo, a gente tá perto da entrada. A gente já vai lá, pega, tem que pegar e pula pra outra. Tranquilo. Evitamos dano de queda, tá ótimo. Deixa o bicho aí, a gente vai ignorar e vamos pra região que a gente precisa. Meu Deus. Tô indo embora. Tá, aqui tem uma oficina. Bora achar. Provavelmente era uma cientista, então, né? Ou uma tecelã, já que ela podia fazer pesquisa com material perigoso. Opa! Nossa. Ok. Acho que eu nunca vim pra esse lado aqui. Vai. Continua reto. Tem um baú ali. Tá. Pô, é lá longeão. Tá, achamos. Deixa eu ver.
The record said this place was registered to our Enchantress of Interest, Lucia. It sure doesn't look like a saboteur or smuggler's den. On the workings of Archons by L. de Crassus. Seems promising. Dom?
Certainly topical. Probably not enough to go on by itself, though. Still significant.
Tá. Vamos então pro dejo da draga. Ela era uma encantadora, estava fazendo uma pesquisa sobre os arcos.
Bitter cold. And
Meu
everywhere.
Deus, o azar.
Aeroliths acting up again.
Aqui no gelo ainda tá
Plants have adapted to endure
tempo mais
sudden
fugido
frosts
ainda.
like these.
Vai reto aqui.
If this keeps happening, you might want to keep a suit of armor for the occasion.
With the right materials, we can keep you snug as a bug in a rug.
Eu já vou usar a poção pra gente não ter problema, né?
That aerolith can influence the weather. Almost certainly why things are frozen over.
Malfunctioning, then.
Indisputably. The ice buildup must be causing a cyclical localized reaction.
Sure. I'll take care of it.
Good idea. Swampy environs and intense cold is bad even for enclave parchment. Best to lower the
Pô,
risk.
eu não tenho... Esse bloco eu não peguei a mão de tecelão 3. Não consigo arrancar isso aqui fácil, né? Isso que é o foda. Eu vou ter que subir e arrancar na porradaria, né? Tá, vamos lá.
There. Already warming up. Hope I didn't damage the priceless artifact too much.
You can't make an omelette, as they say.
Meu Deus, vem embaixo da casa.
A lot of notes here. Water damage from the cold and melt, though. Let's see. Materials. Huh. That's how you visualize a pattern. Lots of marginal notes. These have to be from Lucia. Ah. She mentions a flood in the later passages.
Sev and I will look at these together with her. See what we can learn in context. As Aurea says, the candle is burning on our flood problem.
Tá, bora tá com dano então. Até agora, então, tudo indica que eles trabalhavam junto, né? Com os corredores e tal. Porque se ela trabalhou para entender a inundação, talvez ela sabia quando ia acontecer. E avisava os corredores.
Any luck with the materials we gathered from Lucia's workshops?
Yes. I'll let Sev fill you in.
We started with the book, which was painfully dry and highly theoretical.
Unsurprising. The Enclave was notoriously tight-lipped about the construction of the arcs.
The book was still useful, as it contained a number of craft-specific terms, shorthands, and all critical. Referencing the book clarified the notes.
Without it, they bordered on deranged rant, especially at the end.
Sort of a window into her thinking.
We suspect Lucia spent a long time in isolation while working on these.
She covered many topics, but the most prominent was her work into the flood.
How do those devices I found with her mark on them tie into all of this?
In her final notes, her obsession shifted from the Enclave's leadership to the miasma flood. She was determined to find a way to stop it. On one hand, she looked to the aeroliths as a mitigation. Could they repel the miasma?
In the end, her answer was no. And so she turned to disruption. We think the arcs were tests. Could she shut them down?
And if so, could she shut down something larger?
She was clearly successful at least once. Maybe twice if we count the one outside the Veil.
Indeed. And when we're doing more general questions, that is what we must talk about.
Her workshop was a little brisk, even for my tastes. Any idea why?
She was fascinated with Enclave technology, specifically the dismantling, disruption, and repurposing of it.
She was experimenting with aeroliths. The massive enchanted stones that control the Enclave's weather. When the effect is accidentally concentrated, it can be quite intense. We suspect she was experimenting with the aerolith in relation to the floods. She predicted their start.
We know the Hearthsiders spent years working in Denevron after the Surge. Why do we think Lucia ended up so far from the capital?
It's evident she disagreed with the leaders of the Enclave and gathered others around her who agreed. There's talk of several meetings taking place in the Mire, most likely to be away from prying eyes.
Called her group the Verdant Minds. Very planty.
I like it. It's poetic.
Who exactly was Lucia? It seems like she had a lot going on.
Brilliant, but disturbed. She harbored a severe hatred of Enclave leadership, bordering on obsession.
Reams of fiercely colorful text, just to say some very rude things.
She was also, at one point, one of the most respected enchanters in the Enclave. She worked on something she refused to name, but was clearly of deep significance to the Enclave itself. Called it the source of all our problems.
Sadly, she only danced around that subject, and never offered details.
All intriguing information. But we should focus on the flood. Does she have an answer for us?
Partially. This is the design.
Her research led her to one conclusion: to stop the floods. She needed to disrupt a barrier of some sort. The frustrating thing is that she never explains what barrier or where it could be found.
She assumed, unfortunately, that anyone else reading it would know what she was talking about.
Her design is detailed and specific. The device it would create inverts the flow of magic in enchanted objects, disrupting them for a time.
We think the devices we found on the Arks were prototypes, small experiments to determine efficacy and duration.
So what's the catch? If the floods are still happening, clearly she didn't build one.
Lucia's thimble, as she calls it, requires some highly specialized components. It has to withstand considerable magical flow, far more than what's produced by an Ark.
It's like how mass scales exponentially. Just because you can build a scale model of an aqueduct doesn't mean the real thing can support its own weight.
Thankfully, that supply cache you found has the necessary materials to handle that kind of magical flow.
Solar can pick up where Lucia left off then.
Exactly. The other thing we'll need is a source of magical flame. Solar's mantle won't be enough by itself.
I can handle that part easily. Okay, so we have clear next steps. Just one more thing. What happened to Lucia?
The flood. Our best guess, at any rate. There's no sign of her.
Beleza. Sobrou só agora a do asilo. Acho que dá tempo também de fazer. Então só vamos. Bora pro baluarte. Achar as informações. Provavelmente é da parte do governo agora que a gente vai descobrir, né? Talvez os superiores da Lúcia, dependendo. A gente vai pegando de baixo até em cima pra descobrir o que estava acontecendo então. De quem ajudava com os mantimentos, depois quem construía as coisas e agora atualmente quem ordenou tudo.
Insulates properly.
Então não tem muita resistência a gelo com essa armadura aqui não. Vamos ver o que dá pra fazer. Tá, pra onde que tá a pista?
Private chambers, perhaps belonging to the Bastion's commander.
A letter to the commander from Khan Stanild. He signed his title beneath the Eye. Times have necessitated an information blackout. The cause of the casualties must be purged from even the Bastion's most secure records. Furthermore, military personnel are to be separated from civilians, unless facilitating the evacuation from Denevron. If word of the problem's true severity spreads across the populace, panic will be uncontrollable. It is imperative that Asylum succeeds.
Paints a stark picture.
Asylum? What could that be?
Scour the rest of the keep and find out.
Tá, dá uma olhada aqui embaixo, ver se a gente encontra algo aqui. Opa. Beleza.
Found a key swatch. There's a note with it. It says, Commander, it's ready. Use the harness to execute Asylum.
Another key swatch. Wonder if it will lead us to whatever the harness is.
Only one way to find out.
The key swatch is exciting, but it feels like there is more to discover about Asylum here in the Bastion.
Agreed. I'll keep looking.
Tá, então falta informação pra achar. Vamos lá.
Looks like a war room.
It looks like the recorded minutes of the meetings that took place here. The last one is dated roughly 26 years ago.
What was it about?
A lot of information was torn off. Casualties got too high due to something they blotted over with ink. And the military commander should execute a defensive measure called Asylum.
Tá, então o tal olho, que era o comandante, estava segurando informação, talvez sobre a inundação, e eles começaram o projeto para tentar proteger as pessoas do que estava acontecendo. Agora, onde está o outro? Tá faltando alguma coisa ainda para achar.
Some sort of access beneath the keep.
Ah, é aqui mesmo, bora.
The military workshop for enchanters.
The Enclave never used magic to expand its borders, but had to defend itself.
Against nations that thought otherwise.
Exactly.
Mano, do nada dá uma travadona. Bom, liberamos o portal, tá de boa. Em um lugar específico, isso que é mais estranho. Bom, paciência. Vamos ver.
Research notes from about 40 years ago, probably from an enchanter that worked here, observing arc degradation. Looks like there was an expected and normal amount of degradation observed in the arcs following the surge. But once the arcs start killing civilians, it says this is a systemic failure. What could that mean?
It means the Arks weren't sent to attack us as a means of defense.
They've lost control over them.
A final note scrawled on the cover page. The Archons will be no use in Asylum's execution.
Bryn, all these documents you've collected, I might be able to piece together what Asylum is if you find out where that key swatch leads.
That's my next move, then.
Tá, bora voltar, teleportar pro lugar. E voltar.
Where am I? Underground?
That barrier almost looks like the Veil.
It must be the one Lucia wrote about in her notes.
And the panel looks like our scribe. Anyone know what it is?
No idea.
Similar design to a scry, but it looks like it's a permanent installation. Like it interfaces with the room. Could this be the harness?
Must be. It seems like Asylum involved sealing away whatever's beyond this barrier.
With this discovery and everything else you found, I should be able to piece together what Asylum actually was.
I know we need to discuss the barrier and its potential ties to the Flood. But want to give me a rundown of the research first?
Of course. Years after the surge, there was an inexplicable spike in casualties.
You don't think it's due to the Arks going hostile?
Well, that may be part of it, but we can't be certain due to the information blackout. All we know is that it nearly wiped the Hearthsiders out. What seems to have saved them was Asylum's execution. A defensive measure that involved sealing the underground behind a magical barrier.
Almost like the Veil.
Exactly like the Veil.
It's got to be where the Hearthsiders went, right? Remember, the letter mentioned they were evacuated from the city.
To an undisclosed location. We have no real confirmation that they are down there.
But it would make sense, wouldn't it? After all, asylum can mean shelter or safekeeping.
It can also mean prison. I know everyone wants an easy answer to where they went, but something just doesn't add up. You would think there would be at least one document linking Asylum to the evacuation of the city, and there simply isn't.
Khan Stanild gave the orders to execute Asylum. Do we know anything else about him?
Judging from the series of letters between him and the commander, it would seem that, at the time, he was recently elected. And judging from the frequency with which he followed up on the commander's progress with Asylum, this defensive measure was a key pillar in his political platform. He seemed to grow increasingly concerned with his popularity among civilians.
Ugh, isn't that kind of slimy?
Leveraging a security crisis to consolidate political influence? Yes, it's incredibly slimy and effective.
And the commander? Do we know what happened to him?
It would appear that Asylum was executed successfully, so perhaps he is still alive. But until we find the Hearthsiders, we can't know for sure.
You said the casualties spiked long after the surge. Can you elaborate on what might have caused this?
This is truly the thousand-fairer question. With the information blackout, I can't find a concrete link to the cause across hundreds of pages. Ark hostility could certainly be a factor. Clearly, numerous Weavers were killed by their own defenses. The recorded minutes from other meetings in the war room illustrate a long period of geological instability following the surge as well. Aftershocks and earthquakes and... well, not to mention the outskirts grew more dangerous each year as the creatures were allowed to breed unculled. But these threats seemed to plateau in the early years after the surge. there is no mention of the spike that resurfaced and prompted Asylum.
That's so strange.
It is.
So the Enclave didn't just hide information from the rest of the Mater, but their own people as well.
Judging from the secrecy and a few of the letters you found, I would guess that high-level officials were paranoid. Clearly, not everyone was in favor of this measure, and some might have wished to thwart it.
People like Lucia.
And a dissenting group known as the Verdant Minds that she had ties to. Though it's entirely unclear what those ties were.
So, back to the barrier. Think it's the one Lucia was trying to take down?
Yes, the very same. She was right, too. It's causing the miasma floods. The raw magic that off-gasses from the Veil is what causes the tangles to cluster at its base. In speaking with Darm, we theorized that this second barrier could potentially be doing the same thing, except in a more pressurized environment, like, say, within a barrier of kinetic magic.
We don't get small pockets of raw magic like tangles. We get floods of it.
Precisely.
So we need to remove Asylum's barrier to stop the flood. Now we really need to talk to the others.
Agreed.
All right. Let's go over everything we know so far.
We know that, for a time after the surge, civilians continued to live in Tenebron until they were forced to evacuate the city. We're still not sure the cause.
Wherever the Hearthsiders went, they're still actively sending scouting groups to scavenge for supplies. From the uniform, the creeper who was watching Bryn sleep belongs to one of these groups.
We also know that a defensive procedure codenamed Asylum sealed access to the Enclave underground. This was done using a barrier almost exactly like the Veil.
Lucia, an ex-High Enchantress, opposed Asylum and began working on ways to sabotage it.
Her research forecasted that the barrier would cause the Enclave to flood with miasma. The very same flood that seems to have killed Lucia before she was able to finish her thimble.
But we have her design. It could disrupt Asylum's barrier.
So Lucia's thimble is the key to our survival.
It's less a key and more like a magical battering ram.
Whatever works.
What is it, Lane?
It's just I've pored over all the documents we've compiled, and a concrete link between the evacuation plan and the underground is nowhere to be found. I can't shake the feeling we're missing something.
It is odd that we haven't found a single clear link. The Hearthsiders may not have gone underground. But even so, Lucia's research on the barrier causing the flood is solid. And if we want to live, we need to act on that.
I suppose that's true.
Being a weaver isn't about being certain all the time. And regardless of the Hearthsiders' location, disrupting the barrier is the only option to stop the flood.
You're right. I just hope that if we did miss something, it doesn't come back to bite us.
Even if it does, we will handle it.
That settles it. Bryn, it's time to use the thimble.
Beleza, agora é só criar o item.
Thank you for your help with that, Bryn. You've a deft hand for flame magic. You can wear Sev's apprentice hat for one day. Also, Lucia knew what she was doing. This thimble was clearly designed to pair seamlessly with Enclave constructions.
Must be her experience as a High Enchantress.
Based on Lucia's notes and what we discovered at the Bastion, this was custom designed to disrupt Asylum's barrier.
If it can stop the flood, we need to use it soon.
Agreed. We don't know how much time we have left.
Beleza. Então é isso, gente. O vídeo vai ficando por aqui. Deixa o like no canal. Até a próxima. E fui!